We will get started. Great. So, welcome to our last webinar of the year. Very sad, but I'm sure you guys are tired of being yelled at for not attending any of them. We're tired of yelling at you for not coming. We missed you. So, have our launch operations webinar today. Uh, your host today will be Mark, Frank, and myself. And let's get into it. Of course. All right. So, quick overview. I'm just going to do an extra reminder about Gateway. Then we'll do a brief launch site overview. We'll go through a little bit about the pit area, and then we'll have a discussion about Tripoli, Wisconsin, what to expect, and then sort of what the flow that we're expecting as you guys are prepping rockets and launching them. Then we'll probably a few updates at the end. So with that, a reminder, I believe most of you have done this, but in case you guys have been swapping any team members, switching things up, uh, just please make sure that everyone in your team has created a profile in the NASA STEM Gateway. They're getting ready to start connecting belly buttons to the First Nations launch competition in their system so that you guys can all be tallied and we can show that this is a great program. Right, so launch site overview. So while you guys are going to be spending a good majority of your time at Carthage College, we can't launch rockets here. So our local area is about 18 to 20 miles away from the school, depending on which route you take. But it's about a 30-minute drive either way. Lovely scenic route. So big thing to remember, bring pretty much everything you're going to need for launch day with you. We'll be starting the day out there. Um, there are some restroom facilities. We will also have porta potties, but otherwise it is a big park with not a lot of stuff. We will have some food, we'll have breakfast, we'll have lunch. But if you guys want extra snacks, extra beverages, highly recommend to bring extra with you. And a big reminder, bug spray. Ticks are not your friend. You don't want to be bringing them back with you after you guys go hunting for rockets. So bug spray is very helpful for keeping them off of you. The other thing, depending on the weather, it's been splitting back and forth between really nice sunny days to we just had snow like 2 days ago and rain. So it's going to be very muddy out or expected to be muddy. We're hoping for no wind, but mud is an expectation. So just have shoes on that you don't mind getting messed up a little bit, preferably boots in case you're walking or heading towards water for recovery. So we will have more like maps passed out along the way, but we want to just keep reminding you multiple times. We will have parking passes that we will give you. It's one per vehicle that you guys are using. If you don't have the parking pass, you will end up having to pay a fee to get in. But as you get into the park, there are signs along the route leading you to the high power rocketry area. Additionally, if you're using something like Google Maps, the rocketry zone actually does show up on the map. So it might be able to help navigate you there for the most part. Otherwise, as you're coming up, we will have some wind flags out, helping identify where it's recommended for you to turn to come into the parking lot for when we're staging everyone. Again, more hearing buzzing around me. So the path does sort of wind over. We're going to be nestled in with the ATVs, but the circular guide gives you an idea of potential drift of rockets. Trying to remember. Frank, Mark, do you remember if it is, if we had that scaled to about like what, half a mile, mile?
The scale's in the bottom corner there. So
Well,
the
yeah.
dotted inner circle is a half-mile radius. The outer circle looks to be 1 mile radius or
After you make
diameter.
that right-hand turn, it's a good little over half a mile to get to the site, to the parking lot.
And that's why we get you to calculate your drift and understand your drift and your parachute selections.
So big reinforcement for why we've asked you guys to plan ahead for that drift because it is worrisome if you're you have the big parachute pop at apogee, you're going to be drifting for a minute, and it's an awfully large part to walk through. So, let's see. Another
And
overview. Yep.
sorry, and the water hazards too on the previous map.
Yes. Please note there
A
are
lot,
lots of
lot of
lakes.
lot of rockets go in the water. So again, be careful of your drift and make sure you got your trackers up and running.
So we'll have more maps, but this is sort of a rough outline of how we have it set up every year. We have a big parking lot, and a good third of it is taken up by all 21 FNL teams, and then we end up having an extra. I think this year we have eight extra teams that will be joining us.
Mhm.
So from there, you guys will be doing all of your prep on this side. You're pretty much only covering over when you're about to launch, so make it easy. Frank will have his little RSO station, and LCO are going to be on this side. Again, if you don't have your Triple E membership set up, you cannot go past where this little yellow line is over here, like RSO. Just for safety reasons, you can't. But again, all team members are supposed to have uh, the Triple E membership. You don't have to be certified, but we do want membership for all team members that are attending. It's mainly for liability purposes if there happened to be an incident with a rocket. We hope for none, but there's always a chance. So again, parking, we will have people guiding you to park. We will have sections for larger vehicles. I know Queen's University generally attends with a charter bus just because of the number of attendees they have coming. So if you guys are coming with a larger vehicle, other than Queen's, let us know so we can try to coordinate that a little bit. Otherwise, we will have parking attendants to help with that. And then the overflow is just following back along the road if the parking lot is full. So, so where these two little, of course, two little orange flags are next to E, that's where the turn is. I'm pointing out parking lot E because that's also where there is an extra restroom. We will have porta potties over in our area where we're working, but the closest restroom, like actual building, is over in that parking lot E area. So you guys are welcome to go back and forth over, but just a heads up of how far it is from there. All right. So we will have bagels, coffee, snacks, lunch, and water provided. We'll have porta potties. In case of any merchandise that you guys may have had your eye on Friday but weren't able to grab it. We'll have that out again. We may not have it available all day long because we want you guys focusing on the rockets, but probably after lunch, we'll have it available. And we will also have a 20 by 20 tent set up, mainly where we're going to have the food at. But should the weather get inclement, it is an additional option. Just if the rain is going sideways, it's not going to be much help. So you may have to run back to your car. Great. Now for some of the pit. So as we have a number of teams, it's hard for Mark to support everybody all at once. So if your mentor is joining your team this year, we like to ask them to help with prepping your team, and then if they can help those around them. Think of like the airline rule for the masks. Please put yours on first before you help others around you. We will have more professionals and alumni coming through, assisting in the pit. So it will be a lot of people. We'll help point them out. We'll have safety vests on for everyone that's working that day. We'll have a vest on, and then we'll have different colors to help identify like who do you need to get to. So,
We're gonna have a few TRA people walk into that pit also, ones that fly rockets frequently.
oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Frank.
And we can also point out that this year, I think it's new this year. Mark will only be helping the Mars teams. Brittany will be helping the Moon teams, and Aaron Ashley will be helping the Gateway teams. So we've split up the role again, just based on last year's experience. Like Rob said, I can't manage all 20 something teams at the same time.
So we will update this slide before I post it onto the website. So Mars teams will need to have the approval from Mark. Moon teams will have to have approval from Brittany. Gateway teams need to speak with Aaron Ashley. And of course, we will work out the ejection charges and motors as you guys are prepared for them. So we will have the tables set up for you. When you get there, we may still be setting some of them up. I do apologize. This map is recently updated, so it gives you an idea of how we have things laid out, but it will be adjusted when you're there. Let's see. And of course, we do have the teams grouped together based off of what challenge they're in. So the people closest to you are probably dealing with the same problems you are as you guys are working through your rockets. Um, the sister competition is CRL and MRL. Those will be a little bit separated, but still close. And you guys are welcome to see what they're doing, working on for their rockets. You know, it's sort of the fun thing about rocketry competition. You get to see what everyone else did. So to help with that, there will be flags. Like each team will have a number and a flag to help identify where you're at, so you're not just hunting around. So each team will have an 8-foot folding table. We will have chairs provided, not a lot, but we are trying to provide what we can. So, as we have been working through, we have lunch and water throughout the day. Lunch tickets will be provided. So you'll have a lunch ticket for Friday. You'll have an additional lunch ticket for your Saturday. And then if there were any food preferences that you guys have indicated in your applications, uh, we have tried to make sure that we have accommodated those. But if there's a specific preference or something that has come up that you need to let us know, make sure to reach out to Connie as soon as possible to make sure she's made aware of that as she's coordinating with all of our vendors. And Frank, if I remember correctly, we should be having Wildman out there. So he will have some spare parts. Um, I believe a couple motors. I'm not sure how his stock is looking in case you guys were trying to explore a second launch. Like we cover your first one for your competition launch, but beyond that, that's on you guys. And this one, we may have some slight adjustments as we're working through the flow of the day. So ejection charges, generally by the people that are floating through supporting Mark, they will have them be able to provide them to you. The cellulose wadding, aka dog barf, generally we have a box or bucket of that, uh, generally near the WSGC table. So that's for everyone to use, but please don't like take it and bogart. Just grab what you need and then make sure everyone else can still grab some too. Motors, we are still we're trying to make sure we figure out the flow we need for it. Um, it could be that you just need to see your challenge lead, like Mark, Brittany, Aaron, to pick up the motors, or we may have them at one centralized spot. So we're just figuring that out. But come launch day, you guys will know who to speak with. All right, keep flipping between apps. So like we said, we will have safety vests on. So project assistants being yellow, judges will have the orange focus. Triply will be in the bright yellow. And then we will also have a green vest, blue vest as well, but those are generally more admin things. Right. Launch day. So when you arrive, just park. Try to be as follow the parking guidance as well as you can. We're trying to fit as many cars as we can. Luckily, it's not as packed as it was in prior years, but it's still a lot of teams. So number flag at each table, you can sort of see that number on top, 14 there. So we'll make sure you know what your number is to look for. The flags just sort of help identify and help you find them quicker. You will have a pre-launch checklist. So this, it will actually be on the back of the launch card. Frank has graciously combined all of them together, like the pre-launch checklist and your flight card into one. They're a lovely orange color. I have them further in, but you guys will have that. You'll go through your checklist, make sure everything's done. There are certain spots where it's supposed to be an initial from your challenge lead. And then before you are allowed to, let's see, right.
Yeah,
So when
before
you're,
you're allowed to leave the pits, you have to have it okayed by one of the pit crew leaders.
thank you. Oh. Project assistants will have your rejection charges. Make sure to ask for help with it. And then the major thing that we will remind you probably another 5 times. Don't have your electronics on until you get to the pad. You don't want anything armed, potentially going before you're on the pad with it there in a vertical. And then you can, that's why we have been pushing for you guys to have um, the key, like the key switch or the different switches so you can safely get it turned on when you're there versus it being on in the pits. So if
Yeah,
you need, yep,
it's okay. It's all right.
That
Is
was
that
a
it?
very
Yeah.
that was very important. That's a safety issue.
yes. Not to say that we haven't had incidents of that happening where a altimeter was, armed and someone just lightly shook the rocket and then it took it as whoops. So big thing to keep in mind, like make sure things are powered off until you get to the launch pad.
And that's why you get checked out before you leave the pit area, so the proper people can make sure you're not doing something wrong or unsafe.
So you'll be completing your final assembly, close, seal your avionics bay, make sure the recovery hardware is all attached correctly, pack parachutes, shock cords, close sections. And then we have your flight cards. So project assistant or your challenge lead will walk through that with you to get your work through your inspection. So, Frank, Mark, do you guys, one of you want to walk through the flight card a little bit?
I sure can. First, no one is permitted to the launch pads unless you're a current TRA or NAR member. That'll be indicated on this flight card with your TRA number or your NAR number that you must put on this flight card. We need your name or the name of the team. Address and city is not required unless you want to do a little bragging, which is fine. We will announce it. The rocket's name would be the any name you like to choose, as long as it's a proper name. The manufacturer kit could be scratch built or the manufacturer that you've ordered the parts from. Of course, the length, the diameter, and the weight. And the next question from you guys is there going to be a scale there? We're going to try and get a scale there for you to weigh the rocket before it leaves the RSO table or the pits. And of course, motor manufacturer, size of motor impulse, of course, has to be put on the on this line. Recovery device. Generally, it's a parachute in this competition. Dual deploy. You can put down the name of each altimeter you'll be using and when the predicted altitude, of course, and of course when the main's going to come out at what altitude. Try and fit that all in one line or off to the side so that the LCO officer can read this and understand what's going to happen with the flight. Total impulse and predicted altitude is noted on there. And any kind of comments that you'd like to put on there, it'll be announced through the pay system from the LCO table. Make it clean, of course. And of course, there are RSO on the right-hand side, RSO use, of course. We'll have to check the rocket before you get to the LCO table. And of course, electronics must be off. Your rocket must be checked at the pit, at the last exit of the pit, that everything's okay. And of course, the next line, of course, is what level. This is when you're gonna attempt a level, which most of you will not be doing this. And the LCO will initial it that flight was successful or not, and the reason for the failure. Next. This will be put on the back side of that same flight card. This is your pre-launch checklist. It's pretty self-explanatory. We keep repeating this. Altimeter, arming wires, and switches must be turned off in unarmed position. Please, please, please. Black powder charges, of course, for main parachutes must be installed in the rocket. And if you have any issues on where they should go and how they're wired, there's a lot of people that'll be walking around to help you in those colored vests if you need help. This is pretty explanatory of on the whole checklist. Except for the range safety officer and staff review is go then. I put my initials on there. And of course, the example, what kind of motor you have in that rocket. And also there's a spot for here for a sticker or a signature of the admin team to check your rocket before you leave the pits and before you go across the causeway with your rocket. That's when you come in and see the RSO person for a final check. Next, please. Wisconsin AAA, what to expect, of course. AAA Wisconsin Association conducts launch operations per AAA Association rules, of course, through the National Fire Protection Agency, Rule 127. We have people that will be designated in the areas as a range safety officer, which is RSO, and of course the launch control officer, the LCO. He's the person that pushes the button, and we have the launch pad techs that graciously help you set up your rocket at the pads. We will not set up your rocket for your electronics. We will not set up your igniter for any reason. That's up to you, but he will keep a sharp eye on you on how you're loading your rocket. He will assist you with that, and he will keep track of how your electronics are in sequence and operating correctly. He may ask you a few questions, like if you have a redundant system and only one altimeter is working and the next one is working, it'd be up to you and the launch pad person up there to decide if it's a go or a no. If you feel confident that that one single altimeter will go, generally we like to have you take it down and get both of them working, because if one is messed up, you don't know what the other one is gonna do after its flight. Next, please. The range safety officer minimizes risks to personal and property. Model high power rocketry launches, handling preparation and launch operations. Inspects each rockets for flight and integrity. I'll probably be that person there, so I'll ask you a lot of questions. You've probably seen me before ask a lot of questions. And of course, I have the final call for go or no at the launch. You may ask questions if you're in doubt about it. If you do and there's something wrong, I'll send you back to the pits. and you take your flight card back. And I guess, Mark, we'd have to like almost scratch that signature or scratcher off to come back out, huh?
Yeah, put an X through and we can give a second stamp when they made the corrections.
Okay, good. Next slide, please. Launch control officer, of course, he manages all the flight cards, puts them all in order, and he will assign you what pad to take. I believe we're going to have like 6 or 7 pads out there. He oversees the operation of the launch control system, follows all the safety rules governing the access to the range. Besides this gentleman to the right pushing the red button, we also have a remote safety person that is connected to that box that the button he pushes to make sure that he isn't arbitrarily falling asleep and resting his forehead on that red button. So we have another person with a kill button, and he watches the range also. So we have several people watching the range. Spectators are not allowed on the range, of course. If you're coming back from recovering your rocket, we will hold the launch. We will warn you several times, either stop, stay, or move along. Uh, he secures and I secure actually activate the FAA waivers to assign the area and parameters. Next, okay. Launchpad tech, familiar with both launchers and launch control operations, has the appropriate tools available. If you forget some tools out there, we may have a person out there that operates like I do. I don't pack light. I carry everything usually when I go out to the pad with a flyer. Ensures all flyers follow launch safety guidelines. Um, we have fire suppression canisters out there. Probably have like 3.5 gallon tank compressed water tanks out there in case there's a fire or an accident of some sort. Make sure that all rockets are pointed away from the flight line. This is what the pad tech's going to say. Don't argue with the pad tech. If you think that the wind is going in the wrong direction, we don't want to go in the wrong direction towards the crowd. And he also secures and activates, make sure the FAA waiver is active, which he'll check with the RSO person at the event. Next, please. The launch crew, very experienced in high power rocketry, which they are. They don't take any nonsense. They're pretty serious about this hobby. They don't want anybody getting hurt. Um, what's this has been conducting FNL launches since 2009 and probably before on other competitions that we host. Um, we host the Wisconsin Space Grant Collegiate Rocket Launch annually. We hosted large and dangerous rocket ships in LDRS 33 in 2014 and hosted LDRS 41 in 2023 at Richard Bong. Typically over 500 flights in that week. And believe it or not, the one in 2023, we only had 5 rockets that went in the water out of 500 flights all that week, 4 days of flying. Good luck, everyone. Next one. Launch at Bond Recreational Area since 1995. Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources have graciously supported this activity for rocketry enthusiasts and members. Actually, they have made this field for us. It's not in a real good spot, but it's something where we can fly high power rockets. Designated high power model rocketry area. It's the former runway of Richard Bong. This is a typical launch in April. We just had a launch last weekend, and it looks about the same. We've had a lot of melting snow and a lot of rain. So hopefully it'll dry up a little more in a couple weeks. And of course, you can tell by the precipitation and temperatures during the month of April. It could snow, could rain more. It could be 80 degrees. So I'm hoping for some good weather this time. Of course,
Thanks.
we have fire breaks in case there's winds. We have a road on the right-hand side, and the prominent winds go from the left to the right generally. And of course, we have ponds and roads. Someone want to make a comment? TWA's launch site at Richard Bong. Um, the launch system is a wireless launch system, dual safety arming, which I mentioned before. Faraway cells are adjacent to the low power pads, which we're going to be flying all at the high power pads. We have a 10-foot 15-15 rail, and we have two 8-foot 15-15 rails. And we're going to have probably another 4 or 5 10-10 rails. They're 6 feet tall. Next, please. Okay, walking in the park. It's sometimes not a good walk in the park, but it can be. Watch your step, wear proper footwear, closed toes. Please do not go out there with your Crocs or your sandals. Wear pants, long sleeve shirts, and hats. It's a tick season, especially when it's wet. They love the wetness. Avoid walking and looking in the distance simultaneously as you're walking because the ground has some divots in it and you could trip. Please stop and look. Um, will help you avoid tripping and possibly injuring. The number one thing to do is when you go into recovery rocket, you find it, you see your parachute and your recovery harness all strung out, put it all together and carry it like that young person in the back row is carrying it. Do not carry your rocket like you just pulled everything out of the dryer. Next, please. Launch area details. Launch day motor. After the rocket safety meeting, send the team lead, appointed representative over to the RSO table. This is not going to happen. Mark or one of the assistants will have all the motors in a box secured. He will have a list, what motor that team will receive, the proper motor. If you have any issues that you have the wrong motor, please let me know, Mark or the team, and we'll straighten it out because Wildman will be there. He probably could straighten it out, or if he doesn't have the motor, we could probably substitute with a motor that's close to that impulse. But so far, we've been pretty good lately. Do not take the motors by yourself. You must have the motor handed to you by a admin person or a Wisconsin Space Grant liaison, please. Let's see, you will have to prepare your motor on Friday. We'll have a motor build. Tim from Wildman will be there to prep your motor. Most of the motors in the Mars are BMS motors, disposable motors. Pretty easy to assemble and prepare. Ensure it fits properly or loose or tight. Don't force your motor inside your motor tube. We have tools to sand the inside of your motor tube in case there's glue or some kind of debris inside the motor tube. We want to make sure you have a successful flight. Prepare your motor igniter. Remove the wire from the bag and straighten the wire. Strip at least 1 inch bare wire from the ends. Have available 4 to 5 inches length of masking tape. To alleviate the pressure and to make it more swift out of the pads, prepare your igniter at your prep table. That doesn't mean put the igniter in the motor. It means prepare your igniter, strip the ends, that 1 inch end, and wrap it up and tape it to the outside of your rocket between the fins. This will avoid you from trying to peel your insulation out of the pads. And it's a lot more smoother as you take your igniter off the rocket and unravel it and put it all the way up into the motor. This ensures that all rockets have the igniter and tape when going to the pads. We will probably have tape out there at the pads in case you forgot. Next, please.
But yeah, that's also part of the pit checklist before we release you. We're gonna make sure you have your igniters ready to go and your tape and tools with you before we turn you over to Frank.
Rob, I gotta meet someone out here for a second.
No worries. So, but this is sort of just reiterating what Frank has been saying. So you're going to start in the prep area after you get your approval from Mark, Brittany, or Aaron that get the signature in all the right spots, get the sticker on the back of the card. That sticker will let Frank know that you guys have actually you got your check done. You are ready to be over here on this side of the creek. If he doesn't see that on there, he's going to send you guys back. We have had teams go in the past trying to just rush through everything, went past Mark, and Mark didn't even know what stage they were at in the process. So take your time. This is not a race to see who can be launched the first. It's just we want you guys to have successful flights. If you guys are rushing, you're going to overlook something. So when you have your card ready, you'll head over to the RSO tent. Frank will do your final inspection, and then you guys will be queued up to go out to the pad. So you guys will get queued up and then head out. Big thing to remember when you guys are finally approved by Mark, Brittany, Aaron, when you leave, there is a little streamer that's going to be on the like just below your flag number that says remove before flight. Please take that down, bring that over to the WSDC table to hand it in to us. That flag is sort of an indication for us to know who still needs to go and have a launch. So if you guys want to turn that in after you guys have recovered your flight, or you know that it has gone, you've had a successful flight, then you can bring it over. But we need to have them back before you guys leave. But take them down after your flight so we know how many, it's an easy way for us to look across and see how many teams are still needing to get to the pad. All right. RSO inspection. So you guys are going to be asked this stuff multiple times, as you guys have been getting asked it multiple times along the way so far. As you notice, most of the information that's on the launch card is what we've been asking for on your fly sheet. So it shouldn't be information that you guys are unfamiliar with. Just you're going to have to regurgitate it again. So this is just a way to make sure that you guys know what your rocket is, what's expected out of it, what you guys are expecting the flight profile to sort of look like. That way there's no sort of surprises along the way. So as you know, Frank will double check it again, and then if there's any issues, he'll send you back to fix everything.
I'm back.
All right, welcome back.
Yep, I had a roofer guy come over and look at something. Okay, here we go. Launch day LCO table. If you pass inspection, RSO will sign your orange card, flight card. Proceed to the LCO table. What we're going to do is hold everybody at my site and only have so many people go down to the flight line, so it's not crowded. There may be a line of multiple teams are ready to fly. Turn in your flight card to the LCO table once at the front of the line. LCO will assign you a pad number before proceeding to the launch pads. Media will probably take your team picture with the rocket, probably by the RSO table or at the pads. Turn in your blue ticket to the media after photo. Is that for
Yes.
sure, Rob? Okay.
Yeah, we do have those printed up. That's just we were gonna there's gonna be about 12 to 15 strong media team that are going to be floating around taking pictures, videos, and everything of launch weekend. So they don't know you guys as well as we do. That's why we're using those cards, just so they can know who's in this photo. So let's see.
Okay, Launchpad text will help you load on the rail, observe your flight, of course, retrieve your rocket. After you retrieve your rocket, bring it back to the prep table. Judges will need to inspect it for any damages. Make sure to always turn off your electronics when you see your when you're picking up your rocket. Always turn off the switches. pull your altimeter data and provide a copy to the project assistant via flash drive. Are we providing these flash drives, Rob, or what's going on? Do you know for sure?
Yes, we should have some flash drives provided to you when you are registering. So you'll hold on to those and make sure you turn them into us afterwards. So you guys have your data. If you don't turn
So
it in, then you guys aren't going to be like we can't calculate it. Mark?
yeah, so with relation to that, a tip to the teams in past years, we've had teams on launch day not know how to pull their data off their altimeter or how to save it to a computer. So if you don't know how to do that yet, make sure you understand that. Read your altimeter, documentation. You all have different altimeters and understand how to pull flight data off and make a copy of it onto a flash drive.
Launchpad. Frank, you're muted.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Okay, launch day. For safety, ensure the range is open before you proceed. Of course, you can ask the LCO table, the person there, he can watch for you. By the way, we will have a PA system. We won't be yelling. Uh, we have probably four or five speaker system loudspeakers throughout the area in the parking lot, at the RSO table and at the LCO table pointing at the launch pad. So everybody should be in communication with everyone. If the range is open, proceed to the assigned pad. Note only AAA and R members are allowed to the launch pads. No, maximum of 3 people per team. We don't want anybody backing up into someone's project if they have it laying on the ground for some reason, or tripping over another parachute leg. Once you get to your launch pad tech will help you load your rocket onto the pad. If you are a NAR TR certified level 2, you may load your own rocket. Probably you can load your own rocket even if you're a level 1. We will allow that. The launch pad manager will instruct you on what to do. You may have 2 at that same pad also to help you guide your rocket. Next, please. Next slide, Rob. There you go. Thanks. TR Wisconsin individual available to assist you in loading the rocket, which I mentioned before. Begin tilting the rail. Usually pick it up by the legs and tilt the rail. Hold the rocket parallel to the rail. Don't hold it too high or left to the right. The most crucial part is the aft rail button. That usually sometimes gets snapped off, so you have to be careful when you put it on and your rocket is totally perpendicular and parallel with the rail. The rocket sits on top of the rail, button down, slide the bottom rail button onto the rail. Keep the rocket parallel sliding onto the rail. And once you get the rocket almost halfway onto the rail, hold the weight up by lifting on the rail so the rail does not fall down. Because some of these rockets are going to be weighing like 15 pounds. Slide the top rail button onto the rail. Do not damage your rail buttons by forcing your rocket on the rail. Return the launch pad to the vertical. Now, before anybody gets any complaints like, oh, these rails stink, they're sticky, they're going to be cleaned. They're gonna operate properly. Go ahead. And also, well, we'll get to the next one. Go ahead. Next slide. Before you load your igniter, power on your electronics. Safety requirements that electronics are on prior to installing your igniter. Safety requirement that electronics with black powder charges connected are not powered on until the rocket is in the vertical position on the rail. Do not turn on your electronics at any rate at all until your rocket is vertical on the rail. You may need a ladder or a stool, which we'll have available out at the pads, to turn on your switches. We don't want you standing on the legs of the launch pad or climbing the tower to turn on your electronics. Um, Say the middle of the rocket, maybe 6 to 8 feet in the air, specifically if it's on the tower. You may not be able to see your switches, access holes. So get a ladder, get comfortable, and practice your switches to turn on and off before you come to the launch without, of course, your electronics activated or your black powder wired in, especially if you have switches that are the turnstile type that you have to insert a screwdriver inside the airframe to turn your electronics. Make sure you do it swiftly and it operates properly. Have that same person that's used to turning it on to turn them on, turn them off. Listen to the sequence of the beeps to ensure your electronic systems are armed properly. Um, there will be probably a acquisitive mind, like the launchpad manager saying, is that right? Of your electronics? It's a good idea to bring the instructions on the sequence of the beeps. If you can't confirm, turn off your electronics and remove the rocket from the rail. Do not disassemble the rocket at the pad. We will not allow that. Proceed back to the pit area, retrieve the flight card from the LCO. If confirmed, move to the next step. Next, please.
Can I reiterate on the switch?
Yep.
So a lot of teams, if you haven't launched a high-powered rocket before, maybe you're assembling your rocket now and you're like, oh yeah, we can turn on our switches. In the ideal conditions when the rocket's horizontally on a bench and it's 2 inches away from you, sure, maybe you can turn on your switch, right, with a screwdriver sticking in the hole. Now imagine worst case scenario, the rocket's 6 feet away from you, you're standing on your tippy toes, it's cold, maybe it's raining. And a lot of problems happen when you can't turn on the switch properly.
Yes.
Sometimes, especially with the screw switches, when you put a screwdriver in that vent hole, you may accidentally disconnect a wire or poke a hole in something. So make sure you're designing your switches properly, that they're accessible. Even having those screw switches or key switches on the surface of the rocket opposed to inside the rocket in avionics bay. So you have time to make those corrections and adjustments prior to launch weekend.
Good point, Mark. Good point. Next, prepare the motor igniter. Remove your motor igniter, tape to the side of the rocket, which is between your fins. And hopefully it's not between your fins where your rail buttons are. Insert the wire as far as it'll go into the motor. Let's go all the way to the top, as shown in the drawing to the right where the arrow is. Kink the wire at the bottom with a 90-degree position. Tape the wire you kinked in place and use the tape to retain the igniter into the motor. These DMS motors do not come with the red cap that will pinch the igniter in. You definitely have to use tape to hold the igniter up into the motor. Okay, go next slide, please. Getting ahead of myself. Prepare the motor igniter, which is continued here. Find the alligator clips for your launch pad. Look on the ground. There may be a pair of clips that might have came from a different pad after rocket takes off. So you got to make sure that corresponds with the pad that you're at. Ask the pad manager. He will know and straighten it out. We'll have new clips there. They should be clean. Ensure that the circuit is not live by touching the clips together. Make sure you don't get a spark. Wrap one exposed igniter wire around the alligator clip. A technique is use the tip of the wire, the end of the skinned wire, and the tip of the alligator clip. Take your alligator clip and flip the wire and wrap it around the alligator clip for more continuity connection. As it says right here, as much contact area as possible. Because by the time you are the 20th person launching, I'm sure those clips are going to be kind of dirty. Repeat for the other igniter wire and alligator clip. Polarity does not matter. Ensure that two igniter clips are not and will not contact each other, which don't touch together. or the blast deflector or the rail. Position and tape as needed. We prefer that once the clips are connected to the igniter, try and make sure the clips do not conflict with the flame of the motor. Check continuity on your circuit. There'll be a continuity check box there. Ask the launch pad manager. He'll be there with you. Your rocket is ready to go and proceed back to the LCO area. Next, please. LCO will announce over the PA that the launch is about to
I get
commence.
good double. Yeah. No, again, no, again. I know it's pretty there.
Hey, Marcos, can you go on mute, please?
And a side of fries.
Thank you. LCO will announce over the PA system that the launch is about to commence. Stop what you're doing and pay attention. Eyes on the launch pad. Do not walk any further regardless where you are. Observe the flight path of the rocket until the recovery system is deployed. Stop working on your rocket if you are in the prep area. We must watch every rocket that takes off. It is most important. TRA will stop the launch operations to ensure safety. If you're not obeying the rules, we will shut down the launch sequence. LCO and the area safety monitors look out for incoming rockets near the launch area. LCO will announce, heads up, if a rocket is descending in or near the spectator area. If you're under the tent, make sure that you can see the rocket flight, especially during a heads up notice. Do not attempt to catch a rocket. A rocket that is caught with your hands will cut your hands wide open, guaranteed. Next, please. Post-launch retrieval tips. Have a dedicated group, at least 2 of you, to retrieve the rocket. This is a buddy system. Do not, it's not for everyone. Someone can stay back to clean the area, etc. You will get pretty wet, messy, dirty, muddy. Please dress appropriately. Ensure that the GPS system is working and you have coordinates. This is another thing that the Launchpad manager will ask you besides if your deployment system is working or your altimeters are working. You'll ask, do you have a GPS lock? Is it working? Do you want to go with it? It's your decision. Otherwise, we'll take the rocket down and you can fix your GPS. Make sure the GPS system is working, that you have the coordinates. Plan your approach. Do not just start walking directly. Drive to a better location, another road, for example. Be mindful of all launches still going on. Always look up in the air. Keep your head on a swivel, please, when you're out on the range. Watch when rockets are going up or coming down to be safe. As I said before, the LCO or on the PA system will tell you to stop, look, or come on in. Next, please. Post-launch retrieval tips. Do not attempt to climb any trees or retrieve your rocket in any trees. Do not enter water to retrieve a rocket. This year, we of course, we have poles, and this year we're going to probably get another boat out there like we did last year. We have to have an adult or a TRA member to go out there with you. If you are in one of these situations, ask for help. TRA Wisconsin has poles to help extract rockets out of trees. Waders we do have. Of course, like I said, we might have a canoe. Speak to the project assistant TRA from Tripoli, Wisconsin. Do not attempt to risk it yourself. It's a good idea to carry your phone with you and to call somebody. Of course, trees and waters are everywhere. Next, please. Let's see, ensure that the ejection charges have fired completely. Well, how can I tell when the charges are deployed completely? Well, you should have your apogee out and you should have your main out. And then you have dual recovery in your system. Do not put your face over those areas at all. Turn off your electronics before you do this. Power off all electronics first. Remove all charges that have not going off. Assemble rocket as for ease for transportation. Return your rocket to the prep area. Judges will inspect the rocket for any damages. Provide the altimeter data to the project assistant. They will give you a flash drive. Some of you will have probably um, a SD card. So our problem may have that someone has an SD card reader, and I'm sure we will. Clean pack your rocket to return your trip home. Return motor casing to the project assistants. Do not carry your spent motor back through any airport or check. If you need the motor and you're driving, hey, have at it. If you need it for a souvenir, take it home. Next, please. Of
The
course, do
casing is
not
not a
take,
souvenir, though.
yeah, you're right. The gateway teams, I need all those casings back. Next, please.
All right. Uh, that's actually. So these are more so updates for when you're coming launch weekend. Make sure everything's done. But big thing is, we have the virtual safety inspection this week. So I have most teams signed up. I think I'm missing 5 offhand. I haven't. I need to go and cross-reference who's missing. Um, Make sure you're signed up. Those will be with Frank and Bob. They'll be going through your rocket, making sure what you guys still need to work on or areas that need to be reinforced with your rocket in case you haven't done a good epoxy job on your fins or something. So following that, you'll have a couple items to work on. Frank will let you know during that. But otherwise, uh, when you guys get here for launch weekend, the rocket must be done. You won't really have time to be finishing major stuff on it. That's what we've been trying to adjust the timeline for and all that. So when you're here, we do have some workshops. So you'll have your motor build workshop, you'll have an altimeter workshop, and the final safety inspection on Friday morning. So there is hotel space at both hotels for you guys to just do some fine-tune adjustments. Um, a comment I have or a request from the hotels, please do not go out in the middle of the evening and spray paint your rocket to decorate it. You may worry the locals as they're driving around because you guys are in the middle of the night with a big rocket and they have no idea what's going on. So we have been called about that before. So if you can, come with the rocket decorated already. Let's see. Other than that, you guys have questions for us? Not all at once.
I'm sure you have. Actually, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't lighting up on my end. So I know you've covered pretty much all of them, but is there anything that you've seen or noticed that teams do, like occasionally right before the launch, like that you guys wouldn't recommend? Is what I'm meaning by. Or is,
I think
like,
we
I don't
went
know if
all
that
over
question
it.
makes sense, but I'm just wondering if there's any common occurrence that happens uh,
What's the
during
common
launch
goof
day.
that people make?
Yes, I'm sorry, I couldn't word that right.
So what's the most common problem? Mark, Frank, that'd be on you guys. What have you seen?
Leaving electronics on is one I'm always concerned about.
Actually, everybody's been pretty compliant with the rules. We haven't seen anything out of the ordinary. Um,
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. What have you seen, Canada? What are you worried about?
I haven't seen anything. This is my first year. I'm just
No,
it
we're
used
asking.
pretty all the reports, FRs, inspections, everything we do throughout the year is to mitigate any safety concerns on launch weekend. So we've built this program over numerous years and made refinements based on observations from year to year. There's very few things that we see consistently go wrong at this point. But one of them for me was just we can't be everywhere at once. So just making sure that the teams are following, the guidance we give them. And one of them is just leaving the electronics off before they leave the pit area. That's my biggest concern that I've seen throughout the years.
I think
Okay, so
I think the
sorry, go
problem is
ahead.
reduced since the rockets have been 100% constructed, because they used to come with like 10-15% not constructed, and they'd be working on it with power tools and stuff, and that was kind of sometimes a PPE situation and stuff. But otherwise, everything's been running pretty smooth. They've been abide by all the rules.
Okay, I just wanted to see if there was any like out of the ordinary things that you guys wanted to
Well, if
make
we
sure it
see it,
doesn't happen, other than the safety stuff.
if we see it, we will let you know.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll hold you up to that.
And then Mark from the
And
chat.
oh, sorry. And then to follow on that, I was going to say too, Kenneth, that's why we also spend all day Friday with the teams. So we don't launch till Saturday, but on Friday we do a lot of inspections and verifications. There's a rocket fair at 1 o'clock that the judges are examining. There's a Tripoli safety inspection. There's team presentations. So we're examining the rockets to make sure that they're all up to par for a good flight on Saturday.
All right, sounds exciting. Super excited for it.
And then Mark, Ryan from NAU was asking
Yeah,
about
I see that, Ryan. I'll get that out to you within the next 24 hours. How about that? It'll be up on the website.
some.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I hope everyone has signed up for their safety inspection. If you haven't, please go make sure you sign up. I'm just missing 5, but I'll probably get some emails sent out this evening to remind those 5 teams. But other than that,
I know this is a lot to absorb, but you will be once again probably half or two-thirds of this will be reminded to you once you hit the field.
the more times we remind you, the more times you'll remember.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thanks for participating.